Hey guys, it's Matthew here once again with the second build of the Scourge League, and this time we're going large. So what better way to make use of the Scourge mechanic than to just completely ignore the downsides, or rather even take advantage of the downsides of the Scourge corruption machine. And that is to say we're playing Doryani's prototype Mjolnir Inquisitor. So Doryani's prototype is a unique that it's a chest armor that gives nearby enemies the same resistances as you have. So the idea with this chest is to not have any lightning resist. It specifically says same lightning resist. Sorry, I should have stipulated not all your resistances, just your same lightning resist. So the idea is to have no lightning resist, and rather than just have no lightning resist, you go into negatives on lightning resist. And as you all know, Scourge has plenty of items that take away your resistances. So with the new cap they implemented of minus 200 resists at maximum to your character, you can actually hit it really easily. So this character here that you are seeing is an Inquisitor. It's Mjolnir, it's Cyclone, it's got Arc and Shock Nova going off, and it does have minus 200 to lightning resist, and as such, everything near it has minus 200 to lightning resist. It's a very powerful mechanic, and I've made a couple of these builds in the past. It is kind of difficult to gear. And even with the Scourge stuff, you know, it takes a bit of min-maxing and a bit of shopping around. Previously, it was pretty hard to go past like minus 120-ish resist without really breaking the bank and having to bust out lots of serious gear. And that was still pretty good though. My best character was an assassin, which had minus 120 resist, and he was insane. This one, however, minus 200 resists, and that was pretty comfortable to do. Just took a little bit of work on the scourging, and we can go much deeper, but obviously you're not allowed to anymore because of the Scourge mechanic. It's just too easy to get minus lightning res, and as such they had to cap it off at a level that isn't too overpowered, but it's still pretty overpowered. As you can imagine, everything having that much negative res means you don't have to scale damage quite as much to still yield similar results. So the character does basically shock everything at full value minus, 50% like shock value almost all the time on everything, even our larger bosses, since we do spec a bit into shock effect as well. And then we tried to build it somewhat thick, so it's got a lot of life, some life regen, a decent bit of energy shield. You can go even bigger on that front with the timeless jewels, though they are pretty expensive, and I've decided not to do that this time around, though the min-max on a build like this is absolutely massive. You can go deeper and deeper and make it bigger and better. So, like I said, tried to go somewhat thick with a lot of armor, because armor also helps to mitigate the lightning damage incoming to you, because as you know, you might imagine, you have minus 200 lightning res. That might hurt, but the chest also says that your lightning incoming taken is no longer based off negatives. It is instead going to be off of your armor, and as well as that, you can use a talisman to help mitigate some of that lightning damage incoming. So we have lightning taken as cold, and then I've got a bunch of armor to help mitigate as well, using determination, a few armor pieces, and we're a somewhat thick character. Definitely not dying too much, but it is Scourge League, and as you ramp on stacks, you also ramp on your ability to die. I'm not sure that's going to change for pretty much any character you make out there, just because Scourge stacks are pretty damn insane. You know, 100, 200% more damage coming from enemies is ridiculous. This is a 4-way Legion, my first one of the league, and it went pretty damn well. And as you can see, I'm also sustaining Righteous Fire. We can sustain it in this build. It takes away all of my energy shield though, and my life regen isn't going to be as powerful, so it's not always recommended, but it's quite a lot of extra damage. So all in all, so far so good. Big damage, and it's a pretty tanky, fun character. A lot of fun to put together, and hopefully there's bigger and better things when I start taking on endgame content. May have to ramp the build a bit more if I really feel the need to, since there's aspirational content. But so far, it works off of not too much money, and it's just fun to put together. Let me show you how it's done. So here is a character level 90 Inquisitor, about to hit 91, called No, I Don't Have a Squire. Character name because the Squire shield, which attaches 3 additional links to your weapon, to your main hand, is very popular in this type of idea for a Mjolnir build. It costs like 50 exalts. I don't have one. I'm not going to implement it unless I find it, because it's just ridiculously priced, and like, you know, what purpose does it serve? Yes, it's going to be good, and it's pretty overpowered. So no squires here, but instead we've got some very fancy minus lightning res gear happening. So as I said, it's based off of this chest piece here, Doryani's prototype. Nearby enemies have lightning resist equal to yours. Lightning resist does not affect lightning damage taken, so that means that you don't, you know, take negative 200 lightning's worth of shit. Armor also applies to lightning damage taken from hits, and deal no non-lightning damage, meaning you can only deal lightning damage, is how that is translated, basically. So you no cold, no chaos, none of that. So nearby enemies equal to yours. So you try and get minus res in many different places. I currently have minus 215, so I went overboard in the end. And then minus 200 is our current number. The reason I ended up going overboard is because I've been corrupting a few Doryani's prototypes and managed to land one with minus lightning res, but previously I didn't budget for it. I, you know, built all of my gear around not having it, and then we got it, and then here it is. So basically, you know, you corrupt these in your little corruption station or whatever gear, but specifically stuff like this and Mjolnir, you know, reliable to buy and get. And then if you try and, you know, just get minus lightning res, hopefully another positive side somewhere. So then basically we get 2 positive sides. So plus life, minus lightning res. That's pure profit. The Mjolnir here has minus 28 lightning res. Bought this thing for like 15C. I've made 2 of these now. Made another Doryani's prototype that had minus 29 lightning res and plus 30 cold res. That would be much easier to build around, because getting resists the fire and the cold portion is pretty difficult in this build when you're doing everything else as well. So in any case, picked up a Death's Rush that has minus all res, plus cold res, minus lightning res for 5C. I've got another one of these I picked up for about 5C that looks very similar. There is going to be a lot of gear on the market that you can just look up with minus lightning res that has no real value to anyone except for you. So I have been exploiting the market. Basically, that's largely what Path of Exile is about. You know, find a build that not too many people care about or are playing, and gear around that build and exploit that market and make a character for cheap, which is pretty powerful. Likewise, these gloves over here, minus 29 lightning res, they've got a decent amount of life, strength, attack speed, and life regen. Weren't very expensive either. A belt, Darkness Enthroned, minus 26 lightning res, has some strength. It is difficult to get strength for this build for Mjolnir. So that thing here, I think, I don't know, 10C, something like that. So just a bit of minus lightning res. And then 75 increased effect of Abyssal Jewels. So we just chucked in some life, strength, dexterity, bit of res. Likewise over here, though you could just go a regular belt with some strength. Plenty of those out in the market, just rare belts. This one seemed to kind of, you know, let me fix my own problems in the end just a little bit easier. Grab some boots that have movement speed, minus lightning res, movement speed, life. Ideally, they would have had some resists, but they had a bit of regen, so I just took these instead, and they were really cheap too. Bought an assassin marker ring. I think that costs like about 1 exalt worth. Just needed the dexterity, but obviously you can get assassin marker rings just through, you know, using harvest. I've got another one, but it doesn't quite fit my stats. And then the amulet, plenty of these on the market, kind of, but depends on what you're looking for, and you can try and make them yourself by using Jorgen in Betrayal in tier 2. So if you go over here, if you have a Jorgen over here, if he's tier 2, you can put in an amulet that isn't influenced or synthesized, and then he has a chance to turn a talisman into this, or if he's a tier 1 Jorgen and you do your Katarina up here, he will become tier 2 in the safe house sort of rewards. So we're looking for lightning taken as cold or as fire, and this amulet kind of sucks. I've been trying to make a better one through Jorgen, but it has not proved fruitful yet. Ideally, we've got some more accuracy, some stats, resists, whatever, because it is tough to fill out accuracy and stats on this build. And then I just picked up a shield with +1 lightning skills fractured. That was 10C. And then used some Scorn essences till something happened, and this is the end result. So that's the entire gear. Sorry, also the crown of inward eye with arc chains. It's not super important to have this thing or the arc chains. You could just get a hat with some minus res or different enchant, but I think that's, I wanted to try and fit this in, especially to get some armor going. So that's all of the gear. The stats there, so we've got about 11,000 armor at the moment, 64% reduction. A lot of regen, as you can see, even more when we're running, so that's 1,500 to both of these things. So we can sustain RF at a certain point, but it does take away all of my energy shield. I'm at a complete equilibrium, as you can see, while running, but then it goes away if the consecrated ground goes away. So the reason we pick Inquisitor is for the 50 strength and int, and then the crit based off of that, so that lets us get our crit up to an acceptable level without having to invest too much on the tree, and then especially the consecrated ground. So we are curse basically immune, or rather just about 100% reduced effective curses, and then consecrated ground gives us like 9% regen, some silly amount like that, and it also applies to our energy shield. So without RF up, we do have a lot of regen and a lot of thickness in the build. As you can see, I'm running Determination, Vitality, Wrath, and Precision, and the passive tree itself is up to Interpretation. You definitely can skip this entire area and just like do a cluster or even 2 clusters if you want, but this fills out a lot of int and makes it a bit simpler. So I kind of went for that, and of course, as I said, you can get a timeless jewel, either Corrupted Soul to give you 50% of LE taken as chaos, and then you've got to build max chaos, or some extra life as energy shield. So that's going to be up to you guys if you want to utilize those, but that's my passive tree. It does pick up a good amount of strength and picks up a good amount of int. We go over here for some crit, for some life as ES and stuff, more crit, and this particular lightning mastery just for non-proj chain skills, one extra time. Since I'm utilizing 2 arcs in the build, we've got 1 arc in here attached to added lightning and crit strikes, and another arc over here, which is the Cyclone, cast on crit, arc, crit strikes, inspiration, and also shock nova, so dual spelled chest over here. So that's all the shit going on there. We take the regen nodes down here, bit of life and resists, and the masteries, we've also got Divine Shield for a bit of extra thickness. The masteries themselves are 2% regen while moving, defend with 120% armor while not on low energy shield. So whenever we've got full energy shield, which is pretty much always, except for pressing RF, which I don't do too often. Mana reservation and skills, 50 life. Haven't taken anything here yet, but it will probably be the 25 crit strike against unique enemies, crit multi, sorry, vitality reservation over here, the non-crit over here, the increased effect of ailments over here, and nothing here yet, and probably nothing at all. So that's currently the passive tree, and the order of events here, I took that first, then up here, then here. Anything else in the build I need to mention is shield charge, fizz to lightning, faster attacks, fortify. So with this setup, we do somewhat hit a little bit with shield charge, and it does kind of give us fortify stacks. So it's somewhat useful for fortify, but it's not 100% reliable. Arcane Surge, power charge on crit, Orb of Storms. That's mostly just for like bossing situations. Summon Stone Golem, Frostblink, Wrath, and Righteous Fire, which is mostly used for the Vile Righteous Fire, and then Precision, Determination, Blood Rage, and Vitality. It is tough to fill out accuracy in this build, and Dexterity, and strength, int, so it's a bit of a fine balance, especially when you're trying to make sure you get lots of minus lightning res and get no lightning res in your gear. It's a tricky one to gear, it's a tricky one to build, but this league makes it a lot easier to do. That's about it for now, I think. Hopefully I've got a bit more of an endgame update for you in the next video. I still want to try and fit in some life leech, maybe some energy leech, maybe finick around with a few other things, but love building into this item, and Scourge has made it quite a bit easier, especially if you're on trade. There's a whole wide world of minus lightning res gear out there for you to look into. Thank you very much for watching, and no, wait, debated. One more. I'll show you how to actually find the minus lightning res gear. I forgot I was going to do that. So basically, you just type in lightning res. You then go to Scourge. So this is showing the Scourge thing, and then minus max 20, something like that. And then it'll only show you items with at least minus 20 minus lightning res on the item. And yeah, forgot I was going to show you how to search for those in case you are, you know, confused. So yeah, currently 1,000 boots out there with at least minus 20. You can go even lower if you want, but yeah, that's what we're looking at. There you go. Super speedy boots, etc. You know, search your other parameters as you see fit, but that's the main one if we're looking for it. There we go. Okay, thank you very much for watching. See you guys next time.